One thing I absolutely love about this podcast is that I get the opportunity to tell and help share some amazing stories of some strong, amazing, talented individuals and groups who are making waves through life without a current, or achieving their dreams and goals without a roadmap, or just becoming everything they set out to be. If you're a dreamer or someone who has been counted out because you were too small, underrated or undervalued, or even come from a small little town no one barely even knew, and yet you have dreams that are so big they only make sense in your own imagination, well, you're going to be in for a treat when you get to listen to this amazing conversation with by far one of the most multi-talented individuals I have ever met. Not only to mention her brilliant brain and unmatched determination. So I think that goes to say this episode is truly dedicated to not only those who are dreamers, but those who dare to dream, chase, and achieve their goals no matter what. My name is Taveion Mickens, and you are listening to Surviving the Flame podcast. Now, buckle up and get comfortable, subscribe, like, and share with your best friend or your family member, whichever one comes first in your life. And here's a look at some of our highlights from today's conversation.
I honestly fell into a really bad place. Not necessarily really bad in the way of like I was a mess, but more of I just gave up. And I look back on that and it's very sad that I gave up because I wouldn't be in the dream field that I wanted to be in if I did just give up. I had a job in line. It was an amazing job that was going to be helping people and it was going to be really beautiful, but it wasn't my dream. I was going to stay and just do what I thought was right instead of doing what I wanted.
Any and everyone that we know to this day that is walking and breathing, or just breathing, period, is going through something. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to reach out to that circle, that group of people, that friend group, that family member, that whoever, and just be like, yo, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I may need a few calls throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? There may be a day this month where I'm just gonna need to just vent to you. You know what I'm saying? If you can just keep your line open for just that select time, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know me personally, I would much rather my homie call me at 2 a.m. in the morning and let me know, hey man, like I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this, or hey, I just lost so-and-so, or I'm struggling with this, or I would much rather my homie call me and let me know when he's struggling than I have to visit him in the hospital or at his gravesite.
When I finally got past that short period where I just was isolating myself and throwing myself into school, I reached out to a lot of my friends back home and I was like, hey, full honesty, this is what's going on. I want to start talking to you a lot more. I know some people who have also gotten out of relationships who are also struggling with family things, and just I can be there for them as much as they're there for me. And just knowing that you can lean on people and it's okay to be vulnerable, I think is really huge. Because I know crying in front of people, scary, hard.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to do it. Is also really important, knowing when they might need something and reaching out to them and trying to be that person, because it's two-sided situation. I am grateful enough to have friends I can go to. Not everybody has it, but you also need to be there for them and be able to do the same things.
That was hard. It was tough, but that door was open though. You know what I'm saying? If that door is not open for you, it is not good, in my opinion, to force it open. I think that anything that is for you will gently open itself to you. Now, granted, you may have to travel a ways to get there, 3,000 miles, going through, tons of schoolwork and things like that to get to that. Yeah, you may have to work to get there, but nonetheless, though, you won't have to force it though. You know what I'm saying? It will genuinely just happen in the pursuit of the things that you love and the things that you want. You know what I mean?
And like I said earlier, thinking that I knew my perfect life and that I had it set up and I knew exactly what was going to go on. And then realizing that it wasn't what I needed when I was here.
Yeah.
Being
absolutely.
Here, I have grown on my own more than I've ever grown. I have learned and unlearned things, which is how you grow. And
absolutely.
I've gotten to make new friends and meet new people and just create different pockets of life for myself, because I'm a strong believer that you don't just move on from one chapter to the next. I don't think that's true. I will keep all the chapters I could possibly keep in my life. I will keep all my people. They will still be here. However, when you do move on to a different place and start a different life, those chapters don't necessarily close as much as they're just different.
I had to really like answer the hard questions for myself. Like, like if I really want to live a safe life, what does that look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, while I'm young now, I want to be able to make as many mistakes as possible. You know what I'm saying? In pursuit of my dream, though. Not just make mistakes just to make them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's stupid. But like I want to be able to try as many times as possible. I want to be able to fail as many times as possible. I want to be able to have the stories and the skill sets and all of these things to be able to get to where I want to be. But in order to do that, I can't play it safe. All right, family, welcome back to another episode of Surviving the Flame. If you enjoyed that preview, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so we can keep this flame burning together. Now, let's get into today's conversation. Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Surviving the Flame, where I, your host, Taveion Mickens, am privileged to have lit conversations with ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And today's guest is truly, honestly, no different. My guest today is probably top 5, one of the kindest, most intelligent, amazing souls I've ever been fortunate enough to meet. She is an up-and-coming, soon-to-be famously known anthropologist who will absolutely change the world for the better. And it's not for what she does, but it's more of why she does it. Our guest today is a scholar, a supporter of all walks of life, who truly just wants to see people succeed. And most importantly, she has a beautiful heart that is made of just pure gold. You know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages and stages, and even the ones making minimum wages, please welcome to the STF experience, the amazing, the beautiful Miss Eva Pesta. How are you doing today?
That was so sweet.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So Eva, we're going to go ahead and get started here. But first, go ahead, put your city on the map, man. Where are you from?
So I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, which I'm assuming y'all have already heard about because we went to the same high school.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Florida, this kind of small town, it kind of gives more Georgia vibes, which is kind of why I'm accidentally a little country in my room.
For sure.
And now I'm in Chico, California, so I'm actually 3,000 miles away.
Facts. And we're going to get into that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get into that big jump and everything. But when you think of your hometown, when you think of Tallahassee, I'm sure a lot of memories come to mind, some good, some bad. But what's one memory that comes to mind that you may be able to attribute to the person that you are today? Like an origin story or a foundational memory that you may feel like makes you who you are.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many, especially depending on different things, but something that I think about all the time and I'm really grateful that I had was chorus in high school. Leon, as you know, is a performing arts school, so that was the root of the school in general. And being in the top choir my senior and junior year, we would sing around our lion every single Friday. And we'd sing our song and everybody would come and listen to it. And I just remember like crying so many Fridays of the year.
Yes,
because
man.
Everybody would think about seniors who were leaving if it was the last week or just something special. And I'm just really grateful that I went to a high school that had a lot of spirit and that I had a lot of people around me that I still have very close relationships with.
For sure. And anybody who's ever seen or heard of Singing Around the Lion, there's at Leon High School, there's this huge lion in the lobby. You know what I'm saying? And it's a special moment, especially the last Friday that the seniors are there singing around the lion. And as we record this in graduation season, you know what I'm saying? Like it's very nostalgic in a way, you know what I'm saying? But nah, I can definitely say that that is. I can see how that's a foundational memory for you. And as we talk about who you are and things like that, as I mentioned in the intro, you decided to go into the field of anthropology. Why forensics anthropology? Like, was that always your dream growing up, or?
Yeah, so I feel like forensic anthropology is really not well known. I didn't know it existed until I started it. I originally went to USF for my undergrad and I was getting psychology for my major. And then I actually ended up switching like 3 days before I moved to Tampa because I was like freaking out. I was like, I don't want to go to college for something I don't want to do. Like, I don't want to end up being a therapist. I didn't think I could emotionally handle it. I was like, I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really sad. So I actually looked up what USF was known for, and I saw that they were known in the United States for forensic anthropology.
Hmm.
So I was like, gosh, that sounds so cool. I looked into what it was, and ironically enough, I watched the TV show Bones with my
Oh
mom.
my gosh, I love that show.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she's a forensic anthropologist, and the show was actually written by a forensic anthropologist, so it has some accuracies to it. Obviously, it's a little dramatized, but
Yeah, 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 for sure.
I was like, "Well, I might as well give it a shot," and then I took my first bioanthropology class as a freshman, and I just instantly fell in love with it, and it still gave me the same aspect that I wanted from psychology, which is to help people,
For
but it
sure.
gave it to me in a different, more tangible physical way than a way that I was worried was gonna get to me too much mentally, which this job is still very heavy.
Yeah,
But I think it just was a different path that I could get the same result that I always wanted because I did always want to help people. That's always been something I wanted to do.
of course. Of course. And anyone that really knows you can see that in your daily walk. You know what I'm saying? Like anyone that knows you have a huge heart for others, and I feel like that's also in a way attributed to the circle that you have around you. You speak very proudly, about your family. And now before today, I was fortunate enough to hear about your family, your amazing family. And we spoke about, your mom and your dad and all the academic accolades and success that they've been able to achieve and earn, and we talked about the amazing heart of your sister and your dad's grit and determination and your mom's vibrant, personality. You describe your parents, both PhD holders, might I add, which is a feat all by itself, as a bit intimidating, in their pursuit to success, but also as the epitome of love and hard work. Your mother in particular, fought through the sexism of the 60s to get her degree. How does her story of being an empowered woman fuel your own drive to get your future degrees and current degree that you're achieving?
Ironically enough, I literally text her all the time, just like thanking her because I push myself in this field, and obviously there are still struggles with being a woman, but just knowing everything that she went through and hearing her stories, I push myself every day, and I know that I can get through it because she succeeded in a place that was so much more difficult. I remember as a young child hearing the first time she ever taught a class. She was also in her master's at this
Mhm.
time, and she taught a class of 100, like more than 100 students. Her class size was pretty large. She went to school for theater and English. So she was teaching a theater class, and you get evals when you teach your first class. So basically, a professor who's been there for a while will write an eval for you. And he wrote on a paper that he was shocked that she could command a room as such a small woman.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like that stuck with me for so long, but I never truly understood it until I had the opportunity last semester to teach my very own class for the first time as well.
What?
And it was one of the very first things I thought about where I was like, I was nervous. I had less students, so that was easier.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
met my students because I was helping TA for that class anyway. So it
Okay.
was definitely a little bit easier on my side. And the person who was giving my eval was a woman.
Mm,
I
gotcha,
just
gotcha.
was so like, I'm happy to be in a place where I'm watching it shift and change in education, especially in higher education, watching
Right.
women take over these bigger roles and start to teach us how to teach. And like knowing that I have kind of my own mother figure here who taught me how to teach a class.
Yeah.
And that was really beautiful. And I didn't have to deal with that. But knowing that it happened to her and automatically thinking of it the day that I was teaching my class, it gives you a kind of strength that you don't appreciate until you're put into that situation.
Mm,
I
yeah.
don't think I realized a lot of the hardships my mom went through until I started going through them myself as an older woman,
Mhm.
and just really recognizing the beauty and grace that she held herself with and, like, continues to hold herself with, and honestly, I just hope that everybody has a figure like that in their life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It will help
Absolutely.
guide you in ways that you'll never understand, but it can also teach you how to hold yourself with poise and grace and know when to not say something because
Mm.
it's not going to be worth it, or know when to say something because you're helping the people who come after you.
Facts. Facts, absolutely. And I mean, like, I find it funny how you say, like, as an older woman, but you're still very young. But I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean. Nonetheless, though, it's so beautiful to see this full circle moment of like the passing of the torch. You know what I'm saying? And just how you've been able to proudly walk in that pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like to see and know how successful. And I think it's safe to say like your parents were a a beacon of light and success for what you may any child may feel like they may want to become, and you seen your mom walk in that light, you seen your dad walk in that light, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so you two take that head on, I'm pretty sure there may have been some fears in there, but like looking past that and just saying, you know what, like, no, like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to go get it anyway. Like that is truly, honestly amazing. And speaking of having to leap or to cross certain boundaries before we get into the obvious leap, 3,000 miles plus, you know what I'm saying? But like, before we get into that, what was something that you feel like you had to overcome as a younger child or adolescent that may have hindered you from becoming the person that you are today? Like, if it was still there, you probably wouldn't be the Ava that you are now.
When I was 15, hurt my hip really
Mm.
bad. I tore the joint over your hip. It's a sutural joint. Yeah, so I tore the
Ooh.
joint and my bones were grinding on each other.
Uh-huh.
And I played competitive soccer since I was 4. I, at the time, played on 3 teams, which was probably not the best idea, but I
Jesus. Oh my God.
really not the best idea, but I was very excited. I got the opportunity to play on my, varsity, high school team as a middle schooler, and I was captain
Whoa.
of the middle school team, and
Whoa. Oh,
so
wow.
I was just super excited, but I basically overworked it, and it got to the point where I couldn't walk. I actually stood
Mhm.
up from my couch and fell because I was in that much
Yikes.
pain and it was getting that bad. So I had surgery. I had hip surgery when I was 15. It wasn't anything super crazy. I have some plastic in there. When I get older, I'll have to get a replacement, but they just kind of fixed it up when I was a kid. But I did quit soccer after that because I had to take a whole year off. I couldn't walk for 3 months. I was on crutches.
Wow.
So I just soccer was my whole life. Soccer was the
Mhm.
future. I wanted it in college. I wanted to play pro. It was heartbreaking, but looking back on it now, it brought so many people into my life. One,
Yeah.
I met some of my best friends that are still some of my best friends today because of it. And I threw myself into music and theater, and I found more of who I was as a person and less of who I was in the sport.
Right. And oh man, I can only imagine like how that type of adversity can really stop some or can really like be such an obstacle between who you are and who you want to be, especially when like when you look at like when you just look at life in general, and you look at things and you're just like, okay, like I know I can be here, you know what I'm saying? But you attach yourself to this idea of how you have to be when you get there. And you're not open to the facts, or you're not open to the possibility of life showing its own adversity against you, and, having you go through a few things. Like I have a friend right now who, man, it has taken this guy some time just to get through undergrad. He's faced so much adversity, from loss of family members, loss of, relationships, depression, and all this other kind of things. And like, I feel like for most people who graduated when we graduated, it's like years down the road and he's still trying to pursue it. Most people would have been like, man, I'm done with this. Like, I'm just not gonna do it. It's not for me, obviously, all this kind of things. But he took his adversity and he used it as fuel. And I can see like that's kind of like what you're doing right there. And speaking of overcoming and using adversity for your benefit and not against you, I mean, like, let's talk about this 3,000-mile leap, what I'm saying, that you took. You moved from Tampa, Florida, to Chico, California. A massive jump. And I mean, like, you told me for a little bit there, like, you were in denial about how much it would change your life. Now that you're actually on the other side, what is one thing that you've had to let go of that you thought you wouldn't be able to live without while you were in Florida?
It's a good question. One thing that I had to let go of, I would say, is probably just the ideas of my future life. I had my future life set up in my head like 2 plus 2 equals 4. And I think a lot of people do that in undergrad,
Yeah.
where it's kind of just like, this is what life is going to be like. This is the track I have to take. And it's the track that I thought was the only way I'd be happy.
Mm,
But I didn't realize that, one, moving and making this decision was also entangled in that.
mm.
Like, I even knew in undergrad, because this was my dream school since freshman year of my undergrad. So I knew somewhere in there
Yeah.
that this was a possibility. I just thought that it would entangle perfectly into every other aspect that I wanted in life, which is a little naive and definitely is not what happens in the track of life. So I would say just like letting go of that perfect image. I thought that I would know exactly what I was doing. I thought that I was going to get married. I thought I was going to have kids at a certain age. I don't know, like
Mm.
28 or something. And now
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I
It
thought,
changes, man.
yeah, it changes and you never know. And it's like, you always think that you have it perfectly set up. And then I came here and I realized that a lot of those things weren't going to work because I moved. And then some of them I just wanted because it felt safe.
Yeah.
And I was afraid. I was afraid to move and I was afraid to make changes and do the things that are hard to grow.
Yeah.
So
And I
yeah.
mean, like, that word that you use, safe, my gosh, like, there are so many. If there's one thing that keeps people from really chasing their dreams, is that word, safe. And it's just like, I had to really like answer the hard questions for myself. Like, like, if I really want to live a safe life, what does that look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, while I'm young now, I want to be able to make as many mistakes as possible. You know what I'm saying? In pursuit of my dream, though. Not just make mistakes just to make them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's stupid. But like, I want to be able to try as many times as possible. I want to be able to fail as many times as possible. I want to be able to have the stories and the skill sets and all of these things to be able to get to where I want to be. But in order to do that, I can't play it safe. You know what I'm saying? In order for you to go to your dream school, you can't play it safe. You know what I'm saying? You got to take those risks. You have to be able to be willing to jump and succeed and excel past the expectations even of yourself, and set those standards that, you know, are possible, but at the same time is more on the far right side of possible than it is in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So like, I completely, completely, completely agree with you. And it's inspiring to see that, like, even in because I mean, first off, let's go on, let's clear this up. If you're from Tallahassee, live in Tallahassee, whatever the case may be, you know how small Tallahassee is. And you also know, if you've never been outside of Tallahassee, it's very hard to imagine life outside of Tallahassee because of how small it is. Across town is, kid you not, like 15, maybe 30 minutes away. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really not far. But yet and still, like, we call it across town because it literally is across town. But like, it's so hard to have big dreams in such a small place, but it's even harder to feed it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're constantly around small minded people, and, you're constantly around people who may not believe in your dreams because they're so big, or because their idea of what you're able to accomplish may be so small. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of Chico and everything, let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get hundreds of applications, right? And they only take 4 a year. And
Yes.
you were one of those 4 students, man. You mentioned almost giving up and looking for apartments and jobs in Tampa, but because you thought your first interview didn't go as well as you thought it was. But what was going through your mind the moment that you got that yes, or that confirmation or congratulations, whether it be over the phone or over the email?
I thought it was fake. I read it like 5 times. I
Mhm.
was completely by myself. It was a Saturday, and, I worked at the front desk of the apartment that I lived in
Mhm.
undergrad, and on Saturdays, it's just 1 person. So,
Mm.
I was completely by myself. I had the lights kinda dimmed because, like, I'm never in a good mood to be there on a Saturday.
Yeah, yeah, I feel.
So I was doing my work, and then I got the email on my phone and it said congratulations. And so I was just shaking. I just
Yeah.
started shaking. I read it, like, no joke, like at least 5 times. And then I was I think they meant to send that to me. I'm pretty
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, I think this might be me. Um, and I didn't know what to do. I just started crying.
No,
I just
honestly,
started
so true.
bawling. And
Mhm.
nobody was there. So honestly, and I keep thinking about asking my past manager to send me a video.
Oh, the clip of it? Oh my gosh.
'Cause I think it'd
Oh,
be so funny. But I instantly called my dad. They actually weren't in the US, they were in Ireland for a conference. My dad was at a conference, and that's where they got engaged, so he took my mom. So, they were in Ireland, and they were celebrating, and so I called him on WhatsApp, and I
yeah.
was like, "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to tell you something." And he was like, "No worries." And I told him, and I just started crying. And then he was like so proud. And obviously, my mom was next to him. So I told him at the same time, I told him to put me on speaker. And his boss and his wife were there. And I grew up with them. They were like my grandparents growing up. So, like, they were super happy. And they're
Mhm.
from California. So they instantly started freaking out and like
Yeah.
sending me like names of places and all this stuff. And I was just, like, in shock. I called my sister and cried. I called everyone.
Yeah, no,
You're probably
understood, man.
over
This is a
it.
huge moment, man. This is a
You're
huge
probably
moment.
literally over it. And I just texted my room that I met my sophomore year and her freshman year. I just texted her the other day because it was the anniversary of me getting into this school a couple weeks ago. And I just told her that the moment that I had with her was so special to me because it was my only in person interaction,
Mhm.
like my first in person interaction, because all of my family and friends who I called were either at work or like Ireland,
Yeah, yeah, like,
other
cross
places.
globe, yeah.
So I still lived with her, and I called her, and she started freaking out. She knew this was my dream school. This was something I was able to talk to her about when I first
Yeah.
met her, like 3 years prior, or 4.5 or whatever. But she bought me flowers and drove straight home and just gave me a hug, and I just bawled my eyes out.
It's so
And
sweet,
our other
man.
roommate was there, and I was like, "This just means so much to me that I get to see you first because, like, you have walked this path with me, and, like,
Mhm.
we're one of the first people I told about this school,
Yeah.
and, like, you genuinely know how much this means to me, and, like, it just was so surreal, and looking back on that, I'm just so grateful to have a friend who would do something like that for me and who would also start crying and care
Yeah,
as
yeah.
much as I did, and it was just really a great day.
I can only imagine, man, like, that is such a such a moment, to get accepted, like all the hard work, all of the like guys, when I tell you Ava is a straight up scholar, like I kid you not. I am not joking when I say hands down, likely top 5 smartest people I know. You know what I'm saying? So like she is super hardworking, very humble about it too. You know what I'm saying? But super hardworking. So for you to achieve this goal, man, you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. Now let's talk about what that means. You know what I'm saying? Chico has a 50 or is building rather a $50 million lab. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to be working in that lab. You know what I'm saying? Like the largest human identification lab in the Northwest. Does the gravity of that knowing you'll be handling real people's stories and real evidence ever feel overwhelming, or does it just feel like purpose to you?
It definitely feels overwhelming sometimes, especially with younger individuals. It feels overwhelming. As of late, we've been doing a lot more of bioarchaeology work, which is still overwhelming, but in a way a little less overwhelming just because they usually died of disease or some sort
Yeah.
of common situation. But now that it's summer, we've been getting a lot more cases in. It is kind of seasonal based on like hikers finding people and, things like that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely overwhelming sometimes. We all know it and we all take breaks. If you need to leave, you just leave. You don't have to say anything. You just step out
Mhm.
for a second. You do have to like, can't go out there in your full PPE kind of.
Yeah, of course,
But
of course.
you just take a second and reevaluate. I mean, I was just talking to my friends the other day about how I haven't been put in a situation yet that has been beyond overwhelming, but I hear stories from my professors who have. Like, my main professor right now, Dr. Bartelink, worked 9/11, and
Wow.
he recently talked to us about how they handled it, and because it's a very different situation to work a mass casualty than just an individual biological profile case. So we're currently learning how to work mass casualty stuff. And that has been a new realm for me just because that's not something I've experienced yet. So, like, learning how to deal with it and looking at the images and learning how you run your lab differently. And it's not really a lab, you're kind of just given like trucks and areas to work. It's just, I can only imagine the overwhelming feeling from that. And
Yeah.
I know that they had to take breaks. And I know a lot of them still feel overwhelmed about it today. And in fact, some of them got sick. Some of them got hurt in the process. We had the main forensic anthropologist on that case actually was there before the second tower got hit.
Oh man.
And
Jeez.
she, if you look it up, she has bruised eyes, bruised ribs. She
Mm.
was blown away. And she took 5 days off in a hospital and then came back to work.
Oh my gosh.
An icon of a wolf.
Lord. Yeah,
She's
I'm
still the
saying.
still the main forensic anthropologist in New York City, if anybody's interested in looking her up,
Wow.
she's very cool. But we were talking about that story the other day, and I just was like, "Oh my gosh, what a like, she's so cool."
For sure, for sure. I can only imagine, man. Like that's a tough, tough level of dedication. And another thing that I feel like is worth mentioning as well is just how the job that you're going into is one that the career specific part of the job that you're going to is one that a lot of people really shy away from. You know what I'm saying? Like they are not willing to see children or ones that were neglected and abused and in this form and state, so for you to take on that is a lot of pressure. You know what I'm saying? And one may feel like I mean, the degree field itself is tough as it is, but one may feel like it's so far out of reach, due to being glued to a certain mindset or whatever the case may be. And speaking of being glued, you know, let's talk about, your choosing your dream over love. You were transparent about, ending a long-term relationship, not on bad terms or anything, just ending a happy long-term relationship, because of the distance and the work. Like how did you find the strength to choose your dream over such a long partnership? And what would you say to someone else who's facing what may feel like an impossible choice?
Think for me, part of it was still denial because I fully believe that the right person will never leave even if you have to be far.
Facts.
So I just always have believed that, and I've always felt very strongly in my love that I have for people. But I also understand that it's very difficult for some. It's very dependent per person. And for me, I was capable of doing something like that.
Period.
I understand when people are not. But I also think I'm like my parents, but I do attribute that to my parents as well too, because my dad especially, like, in a way, kind of drilled it into me that my life is
Mm,
my life and that he won't watch me throw it away.
mm,
He made that very clear to me, especially when I did get into this very long-term relationship. Something that he was scared of in the beginning was that I was going to give up my dreams. And he he's an honest person. He will tell you straight up. So he said
yeah,
that straight up to me, and I was like, "I promise you, you guys have taught me better than that." At the end of the day, I know that the person who I'm supposed to be with will know that my dreams matter
facts.
and
Facts,
that
absolutely.
I can have both.
Mhm.
So for me, it wasn't a hard decision. I got in and I instantly knew it was going to be a yes, no matter the
Mm.
struggle, no matter how far it
Yep.
was going to get. And I also am very grateful because part of the reason why I knew it was an automatic yes is because I knew my parents would support me to get here. I knew my dad would do whatever he needed to do to drive me here, which he
Yeah.
did. It was been like 5 days
Yes.
on the road. And that
Yeah.
my parents would help me because, like, I had a full-time job in my undergrad, but it's not like it covered that much. I still had to pay for rent. I still had to pay for everything. Moving 3,000 miles away costs a lot of money. It took a lot of my money.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's a costly trip right there.
Yes. So I also know my privilege in that. I know that some people can't do that. And I'm grateful to know that my parents have helped me do that in both aspects, mentally, physically, everything. So honestly, for me, I would just say, like, the struggle was with not understanding that I couldn't have both.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, thinking that I knew my perfect life and that I had it set up and I knew exactly
Yeah.
what was going to go on. And then realizing that it wasn't what I needed when I was here.
Yeah.
Being
Absolutely.
here, I have grown on my own more than I've ever grown. I have learned and unlearned things, which is how you grow.
Absolutely.
I've gotten to make new friends and meet new people and just create different pockets of life for myself because I'm a strong believer that you don't just move on from one chapter to the next. I don't think that's true. I will keep all the chapters I could possibly keep in my life. I will keep all my people. They will still be here. However, when you do move on to a different place and start a different life, those chapters don't necessarily close as much as they're just different.
Yeah.
They start to
Absolutely.
develop different. You develop a different story, a present story, and those people are still in your life just in different ways.
And is first off, just to go in order of that, first talking about love, I'm a firm believer as well that like not only the right one, but the right thing for you will make its way for you. You know what I'm saying? Like my dream in acting and in theater and in film has made ways for me since I was 14 when I went to Leon. I auditioned for many things. I didn't have to get casted, you know what I'm saying, but I did. I after joining the Marine Corps, I still had that same dream. And in a combat related occupation, one is easy for one to believe and think that like, oh yeah, this dream is done, this dream is over. Yet and still the door was still open. You know what I'm saying? It goes the same way for, finding a significant other. My wife and I, the first 4 years after I joined, we were long distance. That was hard. It was tough, but that door was open though. You know what I'm saying? If that door is not open for you, it is not good, in my opinion, to force it open. I think that anything that is for you will gently open itself to you. Now, granted, you may have to travel a ways to get there, 3,000 miles, going through tons of schoolwork and things like that to get to that. Yeah, you may have to work to get there, but nonetheless, though, you won't have to force it, though. You know what I'm saying? It will genuinely just happen in the pursuit of the things that you love and the things that you want. You know what I mean? So, and as you talk about your parents. You talk about the love and the dedication that, your parents have towards you and your goals and your dreams. That is so important. And I love that for anybody that has that support. You know what I'm saying? But I understand that your parents' support for you is extremely, extremely important. Like, I feel like your parents and your family is like the hard rock of your foundation and who you are. More specifically, from our previous conversations, I know the relationship with your mom is very important, and you and your mom are very close, and we've already acknowledged her personality, which is as big as the sun, and just how influential she has been in your career. But with recent diagnosis of cancer after beating ovarian cancer once before, you know, it can be a lot on a person. You know what I'm saying? Yet and still, your light is always brightly blooming. How do you manage not only to keep a smile, also cope, um, but also cope in bringing smiles to others, while still having all of this pressure on you?
I think something that was really hard for me when I first moved here was just that. I have always been a happy person. I've always been somebody who can text my friends and be able to go out and be able to just like change my mindset by surrounding myself with people that I love. And
Mhm.
when I first moved here, I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
So I had my cohort and we were friendly, but they weren't my friends yet. So I
Yeah.
was very anxious because I had just gotten out of a relationship and I just found out my mom was sick in the same like 2 week span.
Yeah.
And I was just feeling very overwhelmed and it was very difficult. And I kind of just focused on school. I just became an academic person. I just realized what I was here for. And the fact that I had this opportunity and got into my dream school, like, this is setting up my future career for the rest of my life. This is setting up
Agreed.
everything I want for the rest of my life. So I threw myself into it. I was like, this is my passion. This is everything I want to be and I am right now. So it's school, school, school. I added extra research opportunities on anything I could. I
Yeah.
was taking on. And I genuinely think the passion in my work got me out of it. But I also think my friends here and the relationships that I slowly, honestly, kind of fastly developed
Yeah.
with them became everything to me. The three girls in my cohort are like my sisters now. They know absolutely everything. We all know everything. Like, they have been my rock through a lot of it, which
Mhm.
I'm really grateful for. If there's anything that I would give advice to other people about, and not everybody stands on this, but it is what helps me. I talk to people.
Mm.
I I'll ask them first, or if I know they're uncomfortable by something, or maybe they're not the kind of person you can talk to them about certain things about, find your people.
Of course, yeah.
Talk to people. Don't shove it in, don't shove it down. When I finally got past that short period where I just was isolating myself and throwing myself into school, I reached out to a lot of my friends back home and I was like, hey, full honesty, this is what's going on. I want to start talking to you a lot more. I want like our friendship to still be really good even though I'm far.
Yeah.
Like, just saying those things and being scary honest and is good because
Mhm.
my friendships flourished. Like, some of
Yeah.
my friendships in Tampa, honestly, I feel like I'm closer with them now
Yeah.
because I talk to them so much, or we're in the same life paths. I know some people who have also gotten out of relationships who are also struggling with family things, and just I can be there for them as much as they're there for me.
Yeah.
And just knowing that you can lean on people and it's okay to be vulnerable, I think is really huge because I know like crying in front of people, scary, hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to do it. I don't have my mom here. I don't have my dad here. I don't have my sister. Like, people that you usually go to cry on, you don't have them sometimes. So sometimes you ask your friend or you find certain people and they're like, you need to cry. Or like, I have a friend here that like, she's my friend that she knows when I'm really like down. She's like, you need a hug.
Yeah.
Whereas my other friends wouldn't notice, but it's like those things matter a lot. So also
Mhm.
being vulnerable for your friends is also really important, knowing when they might need something and reaching out
Right.
to them and trying to be that person. Cause it's a it's a two-sided situation. I am grateful enough to have friends I can go to. Not everybody has it, but you also need to be there for them and be able to do the same things.
Facts, for sure. And that's just a testament to, honestly, just how big your heart is. You know what I'm saying? Like, always seeing not only just how someone can benefit you, but also how you are willing to go the extra mile to benefit someone else. And that vulnerability is so key and strong because, like you said, it is very hard to get on that level of vulnerability and be like, yo, man, like, I'm genuinely struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a lot to carry. This is a lot to hold on to. I don't know, like, how, like, if I really needed to, I don't know how I'm gonna get back to Tallahassee, to help support my mom. Like, I don't know what's happened tomorrow. I don't know what's happened today. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's being so far away, all of that stuff can come up, but you're absolutely right. And it's like I said before, having that positive circle around you is so key and so important, not only to battling illnesses, but also to, overcoming your own personal, whether it be self-doubt, depression, anxiety, all of that, just having the right group of people around you and staying connected with those people. I feel like we live in a generation today where everybody feels like they're too cool to reach out to somebody. You know what I'm saying? We're too cool to be like, genuinely, hey, I'm human. Too cool for it, and that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Any and everyone that we know to this day that is walking and breathing, or just breathing, period, is going through something. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to reach out to that circle, that group of people, that friend group, that family member, that whoever, and just be like, yo, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I may need a few calls throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? There may be a day this month where I'm just gonna need to just vent to you. You know what I'm saying? If you can just keep your line open for just that select time, and it will mean the world to me. Real simple, real easy. You know what I'm saying? And if your friend group really rocks with you that way, it will be no problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know me personally, I would much rather my homie call me at 2 a.m. in the morning and let me know, hey man, like, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this, like, or, hey, I just lost so and so, or I'm struggling with this, or I would much rather my homie call me and let me know when he's struggling than I have to visit him in the hospital or at his gravesite. I would much rather you just call me instead and just let me know, like, what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, we're going to make a quick transition here to our favorite part of the podcast called Questions from the Fire Pit. Now, this is where I'm going to shoot a bunch of questions at you, and you just got to answer as quickly as possible.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions before we get started?
I don't think so.
Alrighty, sounds good. So, all right. First question that we have here is, we talked about soccer earlier, right? So we're gonna start there. All right. When it comes to soccer, who is your favorite soccer player that you've played with, famously known, or as a mentor throughout your soccer career?
My favorite famous player is Abby Wambach. I got to watch her play once, but I didn't get to play with her.
Gotcha. Okay. And now was this like in middle school or?
This was in middle school.
Gotcha. That's beautiful. That's awesome. After a long day in the lab, what is your favorite comfort food or drink?
Matcha and pasta.
Gotcha. Well, I think you just answered my next question. Matcha or chai?
That's hard. Chai.
It is. Oh, what? For real? I did not see that coming. All right. What's your favorite TV show either dealing with forensic science, if any, or your favorite TV show dealing with nothing involved with forensic or anthropology at all?
My favorite TV show is Scooby-Doo.
I love Scooby-Doo. Can't go wrong.
Two of it.
Love Scooby-Doo.
With my dad.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I have the mystery machine and he has Scooby, but that's
awesome.
And mystery stuff. So I think that counts as like forensics.
Okay. What would you say is the one most misunderstood thing about forensic anthropologists?
That we're not a science. A lot of people say that we are not a science. We are.
I would say I don't really see how that can come about. Yeah, no, most definitely is a science. Okay, so next question we have here is Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Starbucks.
I feel you. Understood.
Answer.
I got you. What is your favorite class that you've taken?
Probably just straight up osteology. So it's just bones.
Got it. Okay. I can definitely see why. What is the worst class that you've ever taken?
Stats.
Oh my God, I hate statistics. Jesus.
I don't like
Hate stat.
but we use stats a lot.
And see, like, I took stat in undergrad. I took stat in undergrad twice. And I was like, great, I'm done. Don't have to worry about it anymore. Psych. Came back in grad school. So I was like,
I have to take it again next semester. And I'm like,
oh, girl, my thoughts and prayers are with you. The next question that we have here is, what is the most memorable experience you have in undergrad?
So I would say when my friend Liz, who I work with, she left, we were all kind of leaving. Her and I had both graduated. She was moving back to South Florida. And right before I was moving to Chico, so like a month before, we became really close with a lot of the football players there. Because we housed the football players. And then Katie, who also worked there, we decided that we were going to push her into the pool.
I seen this video. That's really funny.
They threw me in, so I was already wet. So then we all took a video jumping in together. And that's a super special memory for me because it was in the last month that I was there. And it was kind of like our group goodbye. And obviously I still talk to all these people. We still have a group chat. So that's really special.
That's beautiful, man. That's awesome. Describe yourself in just 3 words.
Short. I feel like that matters.
It's funny because it's true, but yeah.
I think it does affect a lot of my life.
Yeah.
I think I'm funny.
Oh, yeah. No, hands down. Yeah, we spent a whole period together. Yeah, hands down.
My sister is funnier, so that kind of hurts my feelings. And then... cool.
Okay. Most definitely. I can see it for sure. What's the best advice someone has ever given you?
Healing is not linear.
That's deep.
I think my mom, obviously, but my friend Liz back home, like, when I was in this rough patch when I first moved here, that was, like, always her biggest thing with me, because she was also going through a lot, too. So we were just always constantly reminding each other that, because, like, I think even with, like, little things, if you don't talk to a friend anymore, or if something upset you at school, you failed a test or something like that, like, sometimes it will pop up back in your head, and you're like, what's wrong with me? Why am I thinking about this? Why am I not over it? And it's like, it doesn't mean that you're not over it. It's okay to think about it. It's okay to take a second, but you have to know when to be like, take that second and then move on.
Facts. Absolutely.
So I think, like, understanding that you're not broken through that sentence is something that could be really powerful.
Absolutely. What is your favorite California thing to do now that you have moved from Florida?
Hike. The nature here is just different. Like,
yeah. I heard there's not a lot of trees.
There's a lot of trees where I am.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm in North Cal. So in North Cal, there's a lot of trees. So I'm like, hiking here is really cool because it's like mountains, waterfalls galore. And then, like, I'm pretty close to the redwoods. So areas like that. But just nature here is very different than back home.
For sure.
So, like, having that cool adjustment period where it's like I'm seeing so many different things I've never seen before.
Okay. Name one thing you've tried and it just did not go as planned, or something that you feel you should be good at, but you're not.
Spelling. It's like, I'm in my master's.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a master's candidate and I'm an academic and I have dyslexia.
Yeah. No.
I still struggle with it. And it's like, I have come a long way, but I honestly don't know where I would be without spell check.
Felt on that one. I absolutely feel you.
About that.
Literally, like, when I was sending out the email, I thought I misspelled your name. I didn't even misspell your name. I misspelled Gmail. And I was just like, all right, that was humbling. I just related
so much to that. I was like,
yeah,
I really did it.
All right. What's a fear you've conquered that you never thought you would be able to?
I think accepting that I am smart enough to be in this program. which I still obviously have struggles with and doubts about. But after passing candidacies, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more secure here and like I actually belong. And I have good support with my friends and professors always reminding me that. But I think that's a huge thing with everybody is imposter syndrome, just thinking you don't belong somewhere, you're not smart enough to be somewhere. And I think I've finally hit that feeling in California where I think that this is my home now, at least for now. And I feel comfortable.
For sure. You know, when you think of life after retirement or once you settled in life or in your career, what is one thing you look forward to?
Travel. I have been to Transylvania, Romania. That's the only place I've been out. Yeah, I know, so random. I went there for a field school, but
crazy. That's wild. Okay, yeah.
So random. But that's the only place I've been outside of the US. Travel is on the forefront of my mind, but I'm hoping I can also embed it in my career.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of our last questions we have here in Questions from the Fire Pit. When you look in the mirror now, you know, who do you truly attribute, you know, your success to, or who do you feel like you're really doing it for? Like when you look at yourself in the mirror, you think about where you're going, what is the purpose driving you?
I think a little bit selfishly, when I'm thinking about where I want to be in life, it has to do with me. And that's something that I have actually had a hard time with in the past. That was like a new realization in the last like 4 months of me living here was that my future is up to me and because of me. So I'm doing it for myself.
Period.
And I think that is something I've been trying really hard to focus on. However, if I have to attribute my future and like all of that, then it's absolutely everyone I've met along the way, even the people who did me wrong.
I love that.
It's obvious.
It's all I'm about to say it's all a part of the story. You know what I'm saying? Like even like in my when I think about my time in the military and everything like that, I remember there was this one supervisor that I had, and I don't know why or what the case was, but this man did not like me. Like he went out of his way to try and embarrass me all the time. Now I had two options. I could either take this as like, oh my God, like he just hates me and this and the other, blah, 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 and just never change. Or I can try so hard to make sure that like whenever I go into work, whenever I'm at work, whenever I leave work, outside of work, whenever I'm doing anything in school, I can try to make sure that it is at my absolute best to the point where my success shuts him up versus me telling him to shut up. You know what I'm saying? Like I can either show you or I can tell you. Like which one? You know what I'm saying? And I decided that my actions were going to speak louder than my words versus just folding under the pressure of, you know, or not even folding under the pressure, but just accepting what other people are saying. Like, no, like what you believe and what you think of me is absolutely incorrect, but let me show you, you know what I'm saying? Rather than me just telling you, you know, so I mad respect for that, you know, and as we transition out of Questions from the Fire Pit, you know, and we look more towards the future, we're actually going to be looking back in a way, you know what I'm saying? We're going to look at your younger self. If the Ava from Tallahassee, the one who felt like life was just at one point, you know, just like a dream state, you know, was listening right now, what would you tell her about the reality of the no's she's going to receive on the way to the yes that's going to really change everything?
I like to think about this actually a lot because I think it's really important to remind yourself of like the dreams you had when you were a kid. Like just looking back at young Ava, even freshman year Ava, and like what she would do to be where I am right now is just an amazing feeling because I'm like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I'm exactly where freshman Ava wanted me to be. So when you're down, just like reminding yourself of that is really beautiful. But I think, what would I say about the no's? I think I would say that the no's were for a reason. I think I would tell myself that it's just a redirection. I think every no And everything that you classify as like a mistake,
Mhm.
because I hate that word. I hate when you look back on the past and you're like, oh, that was such a mistake. Because every
Yeah,
mistake I made me who I am and got me to where I am. And I'm grateful for that.
period.
So I think, especially getting into Chico, I applied to 3 schools and I got no's from 2. And I actually got a yes from 1 and then got a no last minute because
Dang,
funding
yeah,
was cut. And that
yeah.
broke me.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine, man.
That really broke me. I honestly fell into a really bad place. Not necessarily really bad in the way of like I was a mess, but more of I just gave up. Like, and I look back on that and it's very sad that I gave up because I wouldn't be in the dream field that I wanted to be in if I did just give up. I had a job in line. It was an amazing job that was going to be helping people and it was going to be really beautiful, but it wasn't my dream. I was going to stay and just do what I thought was right instead of doing what I wanted,
Yeah. Yeah, no, no,
which
no, that's understandable.
would have been, I think, fine temporarily, but in the long run, I think I would have regretted it for the rest of my life.
For sure.
And I do also still attribute a lot of that to my parents because my parents stayed on top of me about it. My dad was like, well, if you are going to stay there, then you're going to stay in contact with your professor. You're still going to do the work and you're going to apply again next year. And
Bam,
maybe we'll just apply to more schools and it's fine.
bam.
Even though I was cutting out what he said, I never cut out what he says, truly.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
I know that I would have listened to him in the long run
Right.
because I know that when it comes to my parents, they're not telling me that they want me to do these things for them. They're telling me because they know it's what I want. And I was just too scared and I just wanted to give up. So I
Mm,
think taking no's with more grace is something that I want to work on. And I would tell my younger self to take no's and take mistakes and take injuries, take anything like that as a redirection and an opportunity to look at life differently.
yeah. Man, I love that. I absolutely love that because I mean, like, no's on the pursuit to where you want to be in life can be so crippling. It could really put you in the mindset of, dang, like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, am
Yeah.
I really good enough? Am I
Mm.
smart enough? Am I enough, period? You know what I'm saying? When you get that no, like when you knock at that door and it's like, yeah, no, no, you can't come in. Not this one. But like when you don't have the idea of not this one, but there is another one, if you just keep knocking or if you just keep going, there is one that will open for you. Yeah, man, without, allowing yourself to be free from the attachment of what you believe life is going to be like and allow yourself to be attached to the opportunities that do present themselves in forms of adversity or in forms of rejection. Like you just said, rejection is honestly just redirection. It's not necessarily a no, more of a delayed gratification for what is to come. You know what I'm saying? But no, I mean, I love that. I love that. Everything about that answer was absolutely perfect. And I can definitely see, freshman Ava or senior high school Ava really taking that in and just freaking going with it. You know what I'm saying? So like that's honestly amazing. But as we talk about the no's, you know, I'd never like to look at L's as losses. I like to look at them as lessons, and when you look at life, you've lived such a, like for the short time that you've lived, all the things that you are still looking to do, all the things that you still accomplish and everything, what type of legacy do you hope to leave behind for others to study or emulate?
I think there's kind of 2 different legacies that I would like to leave behind because I do slightly separate myself from my academic self. I think there's a healthy way to be different people at different times. I think my academic legacy that I would like to leave is doing more work in juvenile research. There's a lot of people who do work in juvenile research, but there's not a lot of specialists and there's not a lot of people who stick with it for a long time just because it's a really hard job to do. It can be very disheartening. It can be a lot emotionally, which is why I'm hoping in my future career path, I get to work with child abuse and neglect cases. And I also continue to do research just on juvenile research in general and just fill in a lot of those gaps and work with people in places that are already filling in these gaps and learn a lot from them and get a lot of new opportunities. And then I think in just me as a person, I want to know that the type of legacy that I guess I leave behind is knowing that I loved to the best of my capability everyone who I had in my life. I want to know that the day that I leave this planet, that everybody in my life knows that I loved them an unbearable amount and that like I valued our friendship. Like I value the smallest things. I can be a very emotional person. I'll value if you text me only on my birthday. Once a year, you text me every couple of years, but you say something to me that really means something to me. I
Yeah.
value it. And I hope that everybody that knows that if they, even if they came in my life and out of it, that they taught me something and that I value them for it.
That is beautiful. That is, that is why also, like, in the intro, why I say, like, you have such a heart of gold, because, like, you see that in just the way that you are, the way that you approach people, the way that you talk to people. You see, it's like, you can definitely tell the value that you have in them in just simple conversations. You know what I'm saying? And that's honestly amazing. And speaking of the value, you know what I'm saying, and the simplicity and the love that you have for others, like a message for the dreamers, if you will, to the girl who's listening who thinks that her dreams or her dream school is so far out of reach, or that the past defines her, or whatever the case may be, whatever adversity that she's looking at, or whatever dream and goal that she's looking forward to. What is your final word of encouragement for them to keep their flame alive?
Um, I think my final word of encouragement would be to just do it. Like, just
Right.
try. It's okay if you fail because you also, I think, might feel as though you failed, but a lot of people around you might feel as though you have succeeded in a way that you thought you failed,
Mm-hmm.
or you might have learned something out of it. I think just trying, but also if you're going to commit to something, commit to it.
Full send.
Don't, yeah, don't do it halfway. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to apply to my dream school, even though I never did anything in undergrad related to the program. Like, you do have to commit to it. You have to put in the hours. You have to find something that makes you different. Do something, and it doesn't have to be what everybody else is doing. I came from a school that is quite small compared to my cohort members, and that has been something I have had to try and convince myself to get over every single day that I'm here. The people that I'm here with came from some of the biggest schools in this program as well, and had a lot of opportunities that I did not, and were taught a lot of things that I was taught here. And
Mm-hmm.
so I knew that. I knew that I was coming from a smaller school, and I knew that I hadn't known anybody from USF who had gotten into this school, and I talked to a lot of people, and I knew people from Chico who came to USF, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know the vice versa. So I was definitely anxious about it. So I talked to people. I was like, what do I do? I talked to Chico people. I was like, what do I do to get my leg up? What do I do to do this? And they were like, well, since we don't have these opportunities, like, you should do research. You should write a thesis as an undergrad. You should do things that you don't have to do to prove that you're going to put in the work and to prove that you can do certain things. And I went to Transylvania and I did the field school, and I don't get me wrong, I spent a lot of my money going to that school. And it was a huge commitment. But I also was one of the only people who had month-long experience of doing juvenile osteology work. So you have to fully commit. If you're gonna try, don't just try.
For sure. For sure. Don't feel like it's like try because you know you're going to succeed. You believe in yourself to succeed. And it's a little like a friend of mine who just took a very high academic test. I forget what it's called, but a certain it's a certain achievement that you have to take for like finances or something like that. But she took this test, and like it's the week of, and she was like stressing about it and everything like that. And I'm like letting her know, like, yo, it may seem stupid, but honestly, the belief in yourself can get you a lot farther than you think. You know what I'm saying? Like, but doubting yourself is not going to get you anywhere. It's like a wise person once told me, um, life is based off of the two F's, faith and fear. And the difference is with faith, like it could take you places that fear could never, because with fear you don't even try. You know what I'm saying? But faith, you're at least willing to go further and beyond what you think is actually possible without even knowing what's on the other end of it. You know what I'm saying? And to tie things up, Ava, you said it best. The path that you decide in your head is probably not what's going to happen, and that's okay. You've shown us today that even when we write ourselves off, the world has a way of showing us we're capable of more. You know what I'm saying? From the humidity of Florida to the labs of California, your journey and is a testament of staying true to your core. And honestly, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing your light, your heart for children, and your mother's incredible legacy with us, your family's incredible achievements with us. Like, it really, truly does mean a lot, and for the listener who's listening and the watcher who's watching, I'll tell you a joke, but I never tell you a lie. This episode was everything and more, all thanks to the amazing and wonderful light Ava has shown us. Check out Surviving the Flame and more new content, and located on mickensnation.com, and sign up, and give your testimony and your story by signing up within the Mickens Nation website under interviews and scheduling. And to close us out, the quote of the day is, everything you want is on the other side of your comfort zone. If you are moved by this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your broke best friend or your rich family member, whichever one comes first in your life. I am your host, Taveion Mickens, and as always, don't forget to grind, shine, and make someone else's day just as special as you are. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Surviving the Flame, and I will see you next time.
We're too close. No, we're too close. No, I'm saying we're too close together. No, we're not.
Yeah, because we're going to be quadriplegic. No.
We might crush them.
We're all in this together and we all
Okay, listen. Hold hands. Everyone hold hands. Hold hands. Everyone go straight. 3, 2, 1, go straight.